And I, Abraham, had the Urim and Thummim, which the Lord my God had given unto me. And I saw the stars, that they were very great, and that one of them was nearest unto the throne of God. And there were many great ones which were near unto it. And the Lord said unto me, These are the governing ones, and the name of the great one is Kolob, because it is near unto me. For I am the Lord thy God. I have set this one to govern all those which belong to the same order as that upon which thou standest. The Lord said unto me, by the Urim and Thummim, that Kolob was after the manner of the Lord, according to its times and seasons, and the revolutions thereof. That one revolution was a day unto the Lord, after his manner of reckoning, it being 1,000 years according to the time appointed unto that whereon thou standest. This is the reckoning of the Lord's time, according to the reckoning of Kolob.
Welcome to Starbase Kolob, where we explore the final frontier and the questions that go beyond it. Each episode, we dive into the mysteries of the cosmos, the wonders of God's plan, and the timeless search for knowledge and meaning. Whether it's black holes, deep doctrine, or defending the faith, we're here to connect the stars in the sky with the thoughts in your mind and the feelings in your hearts. Let's launch into discovery together. What's up, Jeff?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Greg.
We're back, and we got a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Before we get into that, we got to start with our Monday morning misconception madness. Jeff, what's our misconception today?
I think today we're going to address the commonly used derogatory term of magic underwear that's commonly thrown towards members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is magic. It protects us from physical danger. You know, like I heard this story of a World War II pilot out in Hawaii, and he was shot down, and everything burnt of his body burnt away except where the garments were.
So it was just a bunch of stumps.
Yeah. So it protected his torso.
Wow, that is magical, man. You just need,
Even though he died.
Like long john that covered the rest of your
Yeah.
body or something.
I guess we probably should dress with in robes.
Yeah, complete coverage. Yeah.
No, that's just a myth. But yeah, anyways, you had a scripture, Jeff, right?
Yeah. So the amazing thing is that for a long time we hold these we call them garments. We hold them very sacred, and so for the longest time there really wasn't much talk of the church by them. You probably have to go, do some deep diving to find any time they would bring them up. But lately the church has really gone out to educate kind of the community on the purpose of these garments, and this comes from the actual church published material that talks about how in ancient times we follow similar traditions as Moses did, and this is actually from Exodus 28 verses 2 and 3. It says, and this is God addressing Moses, and he says, "And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron thy brother, for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt speak unto all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, that he may minister unto me in a priest's office." And it's how we do it in a similar fashion, where we are active participants in the Lord's church. Like we don't necessarily go and there's a priest of the church that we just go and listen to. Like we are all active participants in that. We all become, priests, especially like the men, or engaged in the priesthood of the church in some way. And so basically what it's saying here is, God is directing Moses to robe Aaron in these garments as a symbol of his consecration towards the priesthood. And so we do this, basically are doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the main purpose, if you get down to it, is the symbolism. To essentially remember Christ and his atonement. What was I going to say? Another misconception. There's a big difference between sacred and secret. Everything that we do in the temple, we consider extremely sacred. It's not a secret. There's a difference between that. It's something we don't want. To hide. Yeah.
Sacred is we're respecting it and using it only in the proper functions.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's no different than, a priest wearing robes, or like a Jewish person wearing his yarmulke.
The main difference would be just theirs is more of an outward, like external clothing that shows kind of the world. Ours is more, we hold it closer to ourselves and in a more solemn, like we're not showing it off like in any kind of flashy way.
Yep. So no, it's not magic underwear. It's not going to protect us, but it is going to remind us of Christ.
A symbol of our promises we've made to God and how we want to live our lives.
Yeah.
And the promises that God has made to us.
So yeah, I guess you could say that's a little bit of magic.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, that's the Monday morning misconception madness.
Yeah.
So, a lot of crazy things been happening in this earth, Jeff. Especially close to home. We just wanted to briefly talk about this. We were from Utah, and this podcast was recorded around the time, shortly after the time Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Yeah, it was there. This was a pretty big impact for me, and I've thought about this for a long time on why it just feels so unjust and so like close to home. Why it's affecting me so much, and I feel like a lot of people around us, our community, not that it was just physically down the road from us, but also what I thought of is I related it to the assassination of Joseph Smith. And I think this assassination of Charlie Kirk gives us a small taste of what the members felt when Joseph Smith was murdered. And if you don't, one thing that I've learned, like reading Rough Stone Rolling, is that the assassination of Joseph Smith was pretty political. He was a presidential candidate at the time, and he had actually very progressive ideas for the time period, yeah. For sure, for the time period.
Yeah. Well, and he was pretty much running his own town.
Yeah.
They're having a lot of success. And
at the time, Nauvoo was bigger than Chicago. So, he definitely had power. So, his assassination for sure was somewhat political, but also just based off his beliefs. kind of similar to Charlie Kirk. He wasn't necessarily a political, like a politician, but he was a political figure
Yeah.
who had opinions. And I would say I didn't necessarily agree with all his opinions or anything like that, but it doesn't matter.
Talking about Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk. Yeah, it didn't matter. It still is unjust, and um, like I would be upset if somebody that I completely disagreed with was assassinated like that for their beliefs.
Oh yeah, especially somebody who, in the similar kind of settings, just is seeking to have a peaceful dialogue. I mean, that's really all Charlie Kirk ever did was, seek to have discussion and create discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's similar to the early saints of the church, and like really what they wanted was to be able to worship as they wanted peacefully. And yeah, I was just thinking about that over the last week or two. And that's just kind of what I thought of. I'm just like, this has got to be somewhat of a taste of what the Saints felt with Joseph Smith. Just feeling so unjust, angry in a lot of ways. Yeah, so I don't know. What are your thoughts, Jeff?
Yeah, I definitely can see that. I haven't thought about it in that quite that aspect, which is kind of an interesting perspective on it. I think for me, what really hit hardest the most with it was me and Charlie Kirk were around the same age, and it's funny because I mean he just always seemed so mature. It could be because I'm pretty immature, so maybe that's why I thought he was so much older than me. But
yeah, I was surprised by that too. I thought he was older than me.
Yeah, right. Charlie Kirk just had such a mature demeanor. So, and I mean, gotta respect that kind of what he's done in the time of his life and at such a young age, and just so tragic. Especially I have a child, and I mean Charlie Kirk has children, and is leaving behind a wife, and just that for me hit so hard, and just thinking about all he really sought to do. And I mean you could just tell, like, you actually listen to his dialogue and listen to how he talks to people, even if you don't agree with everything he says, he just seeks to create meaningful discussion. And even then, like, whenever he encourages someone, he's always encouraging them to do something better, to better themselves in some way. And so yeah, such a tragic event in Utah history, and I think it needs to be remembered, and more so we can't really let those kinds of things be pushed. Right?
Yeah, like this is
to happen again.
Yeah, acts of violence should never happen like this ever again. Yeah, we don't mean to get political, and we will rarely, if ever, get political. But yeah, we just we just had to express our thoughts on this because it did hit so close to home, not just physically but emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
and I think it's been there's been time we've needed to process just everything with this. So
for sure,
I think it's good to be able to express that now.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anyways, let's get to the topic of discussion. Before that, I guess we need to say our disclaimer. We are not representatives of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Our thoughts and ideas are our own. And everything we say is just representing ourselves.
We don't seek to create or modify any doctrine, just to express our thoughts and enjoy this discussion, this dialogue.
Cool. Like I mentioned last time, we were going to talk about Well, last time we talked about dark matter. This time we're going to talk about dark energy. But as we were kind of doing research, we kind of realized that there's just not much there about dark energy. It is so just unknown that we probably need to add some more topics to our discussion to have some substance. So we're going to also tie in what we believe the power of priesthood is. So,
which for me actually kind of relates to dark matter, so I think it'll be very fitting on that discussion.
Oh yeah. So let's just first off kind of give a summary of what the scientific community says what dark matter is. Dark energy.
Yeah, dark energy.
Dark energy is the name scientists give to the mysterious something that's causing the expansion of the universe to accelerate. It is not directly observed. We infer its existence from cosmic measurements, and it makes up about 70% of the total energy content of the universe.
Yeah. I actually have this good kind of comparison between dark matter and dark energy, because in some ways they always sound related, right? Because they're referred to as dark, and you think they have to be associated, but it's interesting because they act almost in opposition to each other. Where dark matter, it's unseen substance, makes about 27% of the universe. It doesn't emit light, but has gravity, holds galaxies together, kind of like almost like cosmic glue. Dark energy, it's referred to as a force more so than matter, and filling up a larger amount of space, and it acts as a pushing instead of like that gravitational force, and so they act almost opposite of each other, where dark matter pulls things in, dark energy pushes things out.
Yeah, and so what scientists have discovered is that the universe is expanding, but also at an accelerated rate.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. It's like you're pushing on the gas pedal and increasing the speed as you push harder and harder and harder. So in nature,
while you're also moving.
Yeah.
on a surface.
In nature, that doesn't make sense. Or it's like blowing up a balloon, right? This is kind of how they describe the universe as, a fabric. You're blowing up a balloon, but as it gets bigger, you blow faster and harder, and it expands, and the expansion is accelerating. Mm-hmm. It's kind of crazy, but like I was going to say, in nature, this breaks all the laws of physics. That's why it's called
considering
dark
the
energy.
Fact that everything seems to be operated by gravity, especially on Earth, and then all of a sudden out there in the universe, there's this force that's basically doing the opposite.
Yeah, that's like I was listening to what's his name, Brian Cox. He's a physicist or astrophysicist, I believe. I like him. He was talking about how dark energy almost overpowers gravity in a way. Like it's almost its opposite, but not really.
Yeah. It's crazy because we do know so little, and I've been trying to study more about it, especially for this discussion. And one of the theories I heard on it was something to do with a vacuum effect, where it almost was because of just the way, because everything is expanding from each other, it's basically creating this vacuum effect that is that's continuing to essentially suck everything away from each other or something like that. But it's they currently have no way of proving it. It's just a theory,
Yeah.
just like an idea. And I just imagine all these astrophysicists and astronomers in a room just be like, what if it's this? What if it's like a vacuum? What if it's like this?
Or no, it's literally it's this in order to make everything else that we've thought of work.
Yeah.
You know, so it has to be this because what we've discovered so far has to be correct.
And then they launch a new telescope in space and they're like, crap, it doesn't work.
Yeah, everything falls apart.
Then I'll-
But yeah, it's crazy when you get to this, and it gets to the point where quantum physics is like the answer. Like, I mean, we're just barely, science is barely getting into quantum
quantum
physics and
mechanics
things like that,
itself,
quantum mechanics. Yeah, so we're just barely scratching the surface on that. But yeah, kind of what we talked about in our first episode is how science, how a lot of scientists are just so sure of themselves when truly they have no idea on certain aspects like this.
Perfect example.
But I was looking up kind of the timeline that they have on the Big Bang Theory. And, you know, people talk about how the Big Bang, that's like the one miracle scientists have. And like, say, like you're Christian, you believe in a lot of miracles, but in science, if you're an atheist or a scientist or whatever, you just believe in one miracle, and that's the Big Bang. But you look at this timeline, and it's a miracle after miracle after miracle because everything
Sequence of events.
the sequence of events
Yeah.
within like this is what they think. They think within like 10 seconds. I'll just break it down. So I have it right here, and I'm gonna butcher all these names. The Planck epic. This is 0 to like
this is all
this is a
happening in like infinitesimal
microsecond.
seconds.
The
Yeah.
universe was so hot and dense that our current physics break down. Gravity may have been unified with the other fundamental forces. We don't yet have a theory that describes this epoch fully, which requires quantum gravity. And then the next one, Grand Unification Epoch, another microsecond. Gravity separated from the other forces. Strong, weak, and electromagnetic forces were still unified. So, just right there, that is so against nature. Like, how can you look at that and just be like, oh yeah, that just happened? Like, if that is correct.
Well, they say like, well, there was so much energy and so much, production that it just caused, basically it to break apart, which in a sense, yes, if you have enough, it can break down the laws of nature. But what is causing that? What is producing that immense amount of energy? Like,
Yeah.
you don't just get that out of nothing.
Yeah.
It had to, and like that's the thing. We can estimate and speculate all the way up to the Big Bang, but like the Big Bang, we have no idea. There's like it is almost impossible to determine like what happened or what it was. So yeah, like total miracle.
Yeah, miracle after miracle within the first 10 seconds of the creation of the universe, according to science.
Yeah.
So the next epoch, inflationary epoch, still not even a second here. The universe expands faster than the speed of light.
Which is, another miracle.
Yeah. And then this smoothed out the universe and explains why it looks so uniform on large scales. Quantum fluctuations during this time became the seeds of galaxies. Okay, and then the next epoch, electroweak epoch. This is where it gets kind of crazy. Inflation ended The strong force separated from the electroweak force. The universe was filled with a hot plasma of quarks, leptons, and gauge bosons. Boisons, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, the part where it's like the inflation ended. So just to break this down, the Big Bang happens, and before 1 second, like before a microsecond, the universe expands faster than the speed of light and then stops and then expands again, at a slower rate. So yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily believe, I really don't know where they're, I mean, the only evidence they have is the cosmic microwave background, right?
Well, yeah, there's a couple things I think I've been learning that's been coming to light, especially with the James Webb Telescope. They were able to read more data because the main issue, and there was some scientist that said this, the main issue is they are just not able to look far back enough into the universe's history. Like,
yeah,
I mean, the whole point of looking into space is you are looking at the history of the universe because that light is billions of years old.
Mm-hmm.
And we just can't see far enough back to learn more. And yeah, that background radiation is kind of the biggest. Hey, if the Big Bang did happen, it would leave something like this.
Yeah, and the James Webb is literally breaking down all theories because they're seeing galaxies that should not exist.
Yeah, at the size they are.
Yeah.
For the time they should be in, which is crazy.
Yeah, like, it's just trying to grasp these concepts in our small brains is so crazy. Like, just take a moment and try and think of, like, infinity. Try and think of forever.
It's not a big number. It's just a whole lot of something.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is just...
It's always a big number, I should say.
These are things that, it just boggles my mind. So that's kind of dark energy. Really, there's just not a lot of information on it. It's just the force. There has to be something accelerating the expansion. So that's what they call it, is dark energy.
That's kept the universe from essentially collapsing in on itself.
Yeah, Brian Cox talked about that a lot, is and the way he talked about it was so funny because he talked like it was such a miracle. Like, we're in this time in the galaxy where the balance between gravity and dark energy is so perfect that it allows things to be created. It allows, like, Earth or evolution or whatever they use to explain life.
Mm-hmm.
So,
like it was planned.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, there might be
some organization.
Yeah, there might be a higher power behind all of this, but no, I mean,
no,
that's not.
They'll say first it's probably aliens before it's actually some higher power. Yeah.
Well, I might be able to get behind that. Aliens. Yeah, so I'm sure you have a theory, Jeff. I have a theory. It's not. I've thought about it. I don't have a lot of depth to it. Mm-hmm. It's pretty simple. I mean, dark energy is just the power of God, God's power, and how he uses to organize,
essentially, to like natural forces.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. In a way, like exactly what dark energy does, and I'm similar kind of mindset that it comes down to essentially God's power and more specifically the priesthood power, in a way, and I would say dark energy is just kind of a sense of that power, right? Because God's power doesn't just repel, right? Like, it's not saying that God, all he does is push things apart from each other, and because that's seemingly what dark energy does. But more, it's part of God's power, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and so when it comes to dark energy, um, if the expansion of the universe doesn't stop accelerating, what eventually will happen is everything will become so far apart that it would just be like a universe of darkness.
Yeah.
So
actually, I've been looking at this in that universe book. It's like the different fates that have been theorized of the universe. And this is one of my favorite subjects when it comes to astronomy. Is like how everything's going to end.
Or what they think might happen. So
they call it the Big Rip, where if the strength of dark energy increased, it would overcome all fundamental forces and totally disintegrate the universe. Basically, create all darkness. Because atoms wouldn't be able to hold together. Any matter material would just essentially decimate. What's the word?
Decimate.
Dissipate.
Oh, dissipate.
Yeah, like our star, like the sun, would just completely dissipate. Just create entire darkness. Yeah. And I think, there's the big chill, right? Where like, if dark matter doesn't essentially dissipate everything, but it dissipates enough of the universe that everything is far enough apart that it freezes over.
They think there's these options because either dark energy has infinite power and will keep accelerating, or the power will eventually run out.
Yeah.
Or the energy will run out. So,
which wouldn't happen for a long, long time.
Yeah, obviously. In nature, time is relative. So, is that the only two? The big chill and the big rip?
So those are the ones where dark matter or dark energy increased, but if dark energy were to decrease, and is the big crunch, right? Where dark energy decreased, dark matter and gravity remained the same or got bigger, then everything would essentially start to kind of reverse and come back to each other to a big collapse.
Yeah, essentially like a massive black hole.
Yeah, which if you watch Futurama, that's essentially what happens in their time travel episode where they
I love that.
The universe restarts like three or four times
because they keep missing it.
Oh crap, we shot over it. Gotta go back through.
That's a great episode.
That's a real fun one.
But it's crazy that this is what they observe. And so the question is, if dark energy is part of God's power or his priesthood, what do you think, Jeff? Will the universe keep expanding forever? Why do you think it's expanding at the rate it is? And why do you think it's accelerating?
Oh yeah, I think I want to touch on just one more of like the fate of the universe, and then I'll get to kind of your question there. But my absolute favorite of the universe fates, and this, funny enough, it's not actually in this book, but I did hear it on some like science discussion or something. But basically, the fate is that because everything essentially produces friction. I mean, even atoms like bumping into each other produce friction, and dark matter, that's the whole like bending light, right? Like everything produces friction, and the universe is essentially going to keep creating matter, and there's going to be continuous production and continuous building to the point where the universe essentially sets itself on fire from pure friction. And I just thought that's such a interesting idea, because it relies on the fact of like that white holes would exist, that there's matter production, right? Because black holes essentially kind of bring matter to a singularity point where it can't really go anywhere, But then like white holes essentially are producing matter, or producing energy infinitely. And so if that was the case, then, which I personally believe that the universe will obviously continue on forever. Dark matter will do what it's supposed to do because as part of God's power, which again I believe, it will work in the way it's supposed to, whether that's expanding the universe infinitely, which obviously, if it's going to expand infinitely, there will be additional matter produced in some way, or somehow, whether that could be some kind of additional Big Bang out there a billion years from now, or
our
white holes.
A Big Bang, like a black hole. Like a white hole is supposed to be the opposite of a black hole, right? Like there's theories that we're living in a black hole, that our universe is in a black hole. This is like just crazy stuff, theories. Yeah. But yeah, like I'm there with you. I think it's part of God's plan. I don't know. Is it the way I look at it is making more room for creation, or making more room for progression?
Oh yeah, and it's like an infinitely increasing palette that God is, or what do you call it, a painting palette that, or not palette,
Canvas.
Yeah, an infinite increasing canvas. God is painting across this canvas and continually, and it's like God's never going to run out of paint. And the canvas is never going to run out, but he's going to continue producing it. And eventually, according to his promises, on our beliefs, we will contribute to that canvas.
Yeah.
And in some ways, we have by, right, like having families here on Earth and contributing to the human population.
Yeah.
In a small way.
Yeah. A lot of like what we talked about last time, and like our belief as LDS members that is it called theosis, where we believe we can become like God.
That sounds right, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's theosis, where like God's plan is a plan of progression, that we are his children and he wants us to progress just like any father would to their child. Any good father,
any good father wants their children to, do more.
Yeah, become like them or do better. And that's the same with our Heavenly Father. He wants us to progress and become like him. And so this is definitely one of the more darker, as in unknown, parts of the plan of salvation.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, one thing, I don't know, I guess you did you say everything you wanted to say about dark energy before I get into this?
What are you getting into?
More so on like what I believe the power of the priesthood is.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, let me share this real quick here. So I absolutely love this verse. It's in the Book of Mormon in Alma, chapter 30, verse 44, and I just use this all the time because it's such a awesome verse, and just showing off the fact, again, Joseph Smith could not have written this himself, and like just the fact this was included is just so impressive. But
yeah, Alma's talking to what's his face?
Korihor. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I just love that. And Korihor being the token atheist. I mean, again, how would Joseph know exactly how an atheist? I mean, he was during a religious boom. How would he know how an atheist in modern times is going to talk? Exactly how Korihor in this chapter talks. But
I'm sure atheists were very hard to come by.
Exactly. Yeah.
In upstate New York during the Renaissance,
the Great Awakening. Yeah. So this one, verse 44, Alma said unto him, Thou hast had signs enough. Will ye tempt God? Will ye say, Show unto me a sign? When you have testimony of all these thy brethren, and also all the holy prophets, the scriptures are laid before thee, yea, and all things denote there is a God, yea, even the earth and all things that are upon the face of it, yea, and its motion, yea, and also all the planets which move in their regular form do witness that there is a supreme creator. I just love that because it's like, you know, and it's like, yeah, it's the whole. God is the reason our universe and our solar system work. Again, they say it's the Goldilocks effect, that our planet is in just the right spot.
Yeah, and
so many.
You actually break that down. I'm obsessed with these reels where people will simulate. They'll put like, oh, what if Earth gets hit by an asteroid, and then they'll simulate like what happens, or what if Earth is tilted 10 degrees more, and it like completely ruins everything, like puts the Earth into like an instant ice age. Like the what, how would you describe it? The fragility of like where we're at in space and how perfect it has to be for us is just unbelievable. Like,
it's just crazy. I mean, yeah, you even get down to even smaller time periods, like the fact that the Earth at some point was hot enough to support the massive dinosaurs to exist. It's the reason we are able to live in our climate that we are today. And not only that, but have the resources that we have today.
Wait. You believe dinosaurs? You believe in dinosaurs?
I believe in dinosaurs.
Okay. Do you believe that dinosaurs lived with humans?
To an extent, in that their ancestors did, but I think they were still as old enough.
So birds?
Yeah, birds, yeah. Birds are dinosaurs, and birds are technically lizards too.
Well, no, that's a whole other discussion. But it's interesting because it's same with like Bigfoot. Every culture has a dragon story. Every culture's got a Bigfoot story. Anyways,
every culture's got a flood story.
Yep. Oh yeah, exactly. Sorry to interrupt, Jeff.
No, you're good. You're good. So I just, and that goes on. I mean, yeah, Alma at that point is in the Book of Alma. He's trying to reason with Korihor's avid atheist belief. He's basically saying there can't be a God. Everything works by natural selection. The only way you progress is if you're stronger than somebody else. You can beat up somebody else, kind of thing. And I was like, no, like there is order to society. There is order to life, and you can see that in how the world, the universe works, how the planets work.
A creator.
So cool, like.
Yeah, I love Alma.
Talking about planets in ancient times.
That is definitely one of the cooler verses in the Book of Mormon for sure. Like just imagine, like when we went up to Fish Lake, and like, could you imagine being able to see the stars like that every night, just crystal clear?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. Like I remember looking through your binoculars.
The ancient astronomers, the way they could map the skies is just insane.
Probably for like an hour, just staring at the sky and looking at millions of stars that I could see. Just is unbelievable. So like, if you're looking up with no light pollution and seeing the actual like night sky and the Milky Way, it's breathtaking, number one. But like, you look at that every night, and then I'm sure you just have to believe that there's some order to things.
Yeah. I mean, we can get so in depth into how ancient cultures studied the night sky and everything they surmised from it, and like their beliefs that built upon that. It's so cool because it had an impact on those people.
Yeah.
I mean, being able to see that, I think we are at detriment in our society because we cannot witness something like that. I think
it
does make a difference in how we perceive the universe and even our world.
Yeah, that is. If I could change one thing, that would be it. The light pollution that we have. But yeah.
So yeah, that's the kind of the last thing I wanted to share on that.
Awesome.
And,
No, I love it.
we can get into more. I think it still relates because, like we said, we're saying we think the dark energy is what do you call it? An example of God's power, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so, which, we believe that God has given us some of his power, which we call the priesthood. And we probably won't get into it too much. I just want to kind of introduce to you, Jeff, my thought, and then we'll talk about this next time a little more.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought about this. I was trying to think of like what exactly is priesthood power? Like what can cause the gift of tongues or the
specific, I guess a disclaimer that specifically that we believe the priesthood power is the power of God given to man to act by his will.
Through God's will.
So it is God's power.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing which I also believe is part of like the gift of spirits, or the gift of the spirit, with like the gift of healing, the gift of tongues, and things like that.
Yeah.
So just by that, they call it the gift of the spirit, right? Mm-hmm. I believe that priesthood power, the power that God allows us to use in his name, is the manipulation of spirit. So
I can see where you're coming from on that.
So it's not a power over physical. It's a power over spirit, but obviously not against anybody's will or the will of the spirit. So I'll have to break down my thoughts a little bit more, but that's just kind of I thought of that and it kind of just resonated with me in a lot of ways and made a lot more sense than anything else that I could think of. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you. I think for me it even goes even deeper. I think it's God's ability to connect to with intelligences, which if you go to the last podcast, we talk about what intelligences are and how it's almost the essence of what everything is, of who we are, like our conscience, like our essence of our personality. But like the way I've the things I study and the stuff I've read, from prophets and church leaders and everything, what I've kind of broken it down to is God is God because of his honor, because of his ability, because of who he is, right? And agency exists, meaning we have the ability to choose, right? And the way I've been told is the universe, God has his power because everything in the universe, every speck of matter that has, we believe, intelligence is essentially kind of attached to everything. There's intelligence, there's degrees of intelligence. Everything with intelligence responds to God because of his honor, right? Like he is God. He is the most honorable being, and they listen to him because of his honor. And so when God speaks, everything is willing to do what he says because, again, of his honor. And that's why, in scriptures it talks about, God can't do this, or he would be a liar. God is, this isn't going to happen, or else it would break down, God's will, God's power, because God must keep his honor for the universe to, and obviously he will always keep his honor because he is God. but the universe is going to respond to him because, I mean, and that's the reason why we can't tell, you know, a mountain to move, because it's not going to respect us. You know, it's not going to listen to us. But
unless you're Nephi number 2.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, unless you have a similar honor to God's honor, like you are a righteous enough person. I mean, you look at Moses, right? He parted the Red Sea using God's power, and that was because God bestowed some of his honor upon Moses, and that then, you know, the sea listened. Moses parted it, and it did what it told, and it's so cool because you know, the Book of Mormon specifies how the children of Israel crossed on dry ground. Which you think about, if you move water away from a piece of land, that dirt's going to still be wet muddy for a while.
Yeah.
The water parted, even so, the water in the ground parted. You know, it listened. Every bit of that, every molecule of water listened to God's honor and will, because, you know, it's like, you are God. We respect you. We will listen to you. And so, in the same way, like dark matter, whatever it is, whatever force that in conjunction with God's power is. Actually, the scripture in D&C I think fits it perfectly. So it's Doctrine and Covenants, section 88, verses 12, starting on verse 12, and it says, "Which light proceedeth forth from the presence of God to fill the immensity of space." Light, kind of in similar sense, his honor, his power,
his glory.
His glory, yeah. "The light which is in all things, which giveth life to all things, which is the law by which all things are governed, even the power of God, who sitteth upon his throne, who is in the bosom of eternity, and is in the midst of all things." And you think about that, like, if you know, in the same way, like how everything has a spirit, and our spirits can connect to each other so much greater than our bodies can. When God says something, right? Mm-hmm. You think the rest of the universe, it listens because it, you know, let's say God tells a galaxy, because we do believe God has a body, right? And God very well could travel across the universe in an instant, but he tells one galaxy to move, right? I can imagine that in an instantaneous chain, that every single molecule across the universe to that galaxy says, "Hey, God told you to move. You need to move," in an instant.
Yeah, but then it comes down to like, would he do that? Because would that go against the laws that he is bound by? Mm-hmm. You know, like, obviously he's able to do what he can, but it's like, you know, when in 3rd Nephi, when the scripture in the scripture describes 3rd Nephi, that he can do these things because he's not going to do anything against God's will. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I see it with God, is like, I mean, he's not gonna just like move a galaxy just to move a galaxy. Like, it's going to be
juggle galaxies.
It's going to be a purpose of like his plan, to progress his plan.
Oh yeah, just being God, he'll know exactly what he needs to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's just the cool thing, and speculating on these is thinking of how, I mean, it again, that this speculation, I think, connects us more to the world around us, because it makes us realize that, you know, we're not just, like, this table is not just, you know, a set of plant cells, dead plant cells. You know, there's molecules to this that themselves are ready to jump at God saying, you know, jump, right? Mm-hmm. And that, I think,
or
opens
split.
your mind. Yeah, split or something.
Or turn into a snake. You know?
Oh, yeah. And that opens your mind to, I think, more of the world around you, in the semblance that, you know, not only are you not alone, not only are you surrounded by essentially everything that is going to listen to God and respond to God, but like there is a everything in a way has a will to itself, right?
Yeah.
Or seem, yeah, right, would seem to have a will,
A purpose.
a purpose, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of what I love about like Native American culture. That they believe that everything has a spirit.
Oh yeah.
So I believe that rings true.
Well, I just did a project with a native monitor in Wyoming, and it was a wonderful discussion I had with him, and he was talking about how he will, he'll pick up rocks, he'll pick up, things that he's out and about, and he'll just have a sense like, oh, that rock didn't want to move from its spot. He'll go like put it back where he found it, and like to him, he feels the emotions of these essentially inanimate objects and how they feel about their situation.
Yeah.
And even my wife's side of the family, they're native, and I've had many discussions from them where they talk about how sometimes they'll pick up a rock, and he said, her uncle said once that he has this rock where he'll pick it up just on occasion because the rock itself he feels likes to be handled.
Yeah.
And so he'll just go and he'll like handle it and like twist it around in his hand for a little bit and just make the rock happy.
I pick up a rock and I feel like it wants me to skip it on a lake or something.
Or throw it as hard as you can.
Yeah. No, I wonder like if there's any like connection with that and like Joseph Smith and his seer stone. If like, because like obviously it was special to Joseph, but like seer stones were actually like a common thing. Back in that time, not just for
kind of where
Mormons or
the derogatory story of Joseph Smith just being a treasure hunter. Right, comes from.
Exactly.
Using seer stones to find treasure,
which is absolutely ridiculous because he was hired.
He was
by someone
odd jobs by tons of
to look for this treasure.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's another topic of discussion. But I think we kind of hit on most of what I wanted to cover today. Yeah. I think next time I'm gonna collect my thoughts and do a little bit more research on kind of my theory is that the power of priesthood is the manipulation, or the whatever you want to call it, the organization or the encouragement of spirits to do God's will.
I recommend you look into some of what Cleon Skousen said. He touches on a lot of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, Cleon Skousen, he's a smart dude for sure.
A way of looking at things that just makes sense and widen your mind. Really cool.
Yeah, awesome. I'll have to check him out for sure. I mean, I've done a little bit of his readings, but should definitely do some more. But, you got anything else, Jeff?
Oh, I think that touches on just about everything. There's this quote by Neil A. Maxwell. I absolutely love Neil A. Maxwell. He's another, you listen to what he says, and he's just so engaging and just so smart. You can tell this man is a genius. Yeah. And he's the reason I believe in aliens, because in one of the church published videos, he says how he's like, God has created other galaxies out there in the universe, and he's like, and we do know there is life on those other planets or something like that. And it's just like, oh, he said it. There's aliens out there. But I mean, this is a different quote, but I just had to give that little dialogue on that. But Neil A. Maxwell, this is from a 1978 conference. He says, "The galaxies are strewn with divine purpose, and they move obediently to divine law. Even so, each of us is free to obey or not to obey the spiritual laws which God has given." So I think that kind of sums it up pretty good. That
Yeah.
there's a divine purpose to the galaxies out there, and they move obediently. I love that because, again, I just think about how everything is essentially looking to God.
Yeah.
And because he is God, and everything would be like, oh God, we're ready for you to say something. You tell us to do something, we'll do it.
Yeah. Or like, I mean, obviously, like when it comes to that kind of level of intelligence, like what is it more like instinct rather than thought?
Yeah.
You know, kind of like an ant or a creature on Earth or something like that. So, yeah, super interesting. I like that quote. Yeah, awesome. That's all for me for sure. Yeah, dark energy and dark matter. They're some heavy topics because there's just not a ton known about them, but it's super interesting. So fun to think about. I love just thinking about the vastness of the universe and how God is out there organizing things and like fulfilling his plan. So awesome. Well, that's Starbase Collab for today. Keep exploring, keep dreaming, but most importantly, keep looking up. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
If you could hide to Collab in the twinkling of an eye, and then continue onward with that same speed to fly, do you think that you could ever, through all eternity, find out the generation where gods began to be?